This is a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. It's been out for about a year now, and with the iPhone 14s out and your Google Pixel 7s, I figured I'd go ahead and give you guys my thoughts on how the phone has performed over the course of a year, especially now with the S23 right around the corner. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was one of the main reasons that I chose this device to begin with, and that is the display. It is quite the gorgeous display with the way that the colors are so punchy and vibrant. And one thing that I'm actually a fan of is the curves. I know a lot of people really aren't fans of the curves, but personally, I actually missed the birth of it. I wasn't really around Android when the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge came out, and I always thought it was really neat and very futuristic. So being that I missed that phase, you can say that I am technically probably in this honeymoon phase, I guess. To me, it's just so slick and smooth looking that I can't help but every time I see it, I just want to find a reason to watch something on that phone. The display being a 1440p AMOLED at 6.8 inches with 120 Hz refresh rate makes it such an eye-pleasing source for media. Now, I carry two phones and try to remain unbiased, and that's my iPhone 13 Pro Max and the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. And of the two, I always choose the S22 Ultra to consume my content. Battery life and charging. Now, the battery on the S22 Ultra is pretty good. It's not the greatest, it's better than okay, but when you compare it to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it doesn't really stand a chance. But considering that you do have fast charging capabilities with up to 45 watt peak charging, with the right brick of course, it does give me a peace of mind knowing that if I have a little bit of downtime to charge my phone, that I'll get just enough of a charge to get through the rest of my day. No problem. That being said, on average, I'd say I'd probably come home with about 30% of battery life. And I'm a moderate to heavy user just depending on the day. And that being that I tend to watch a lot of YouTube videos on my phone, a lot of social media browsing, uploading, editing videos and thumbnails on my phone. So I tend to have a lot of usage coming out of it and still come home with 30%. So going a full day without charging, easy peasy lemon squeezy, no problem whatsoever. But 2 days, not so much. But if I do know that that's coming up where I'm just gonna have an entire day away from outlets, I go ahead and throw it into power saving mode, and then I'm good, I'm gonna make it. Speaker quality. As far as speaker quality, I'm not a huge audio person myself, so that's not my strength, but I can say that the S22 Ultra has some pretty nice and loud stereo speakers.
If you want people to like your Instagram posts, it's better to have good style than to do hard tricks. A steezy back tail will get you more likes than an average looking switch flip back tail.
Now, if I had to compare them to my iPhone 13 Pro Max, I would lean more towards my iPhone. They just have a bit more range and depth in my opinion. Now, I can only tell if I'm comparing them side by side, like I'll let you see here in this clip.
If you want people to like your Instagram posts, it's better to have good style than to do hard tricks. If you want people to like your Instagram posts, it's better to have good style than to do hard tricks.
Other than that, guys, you won't tell the difference. The audio quality on the S22 Ultra, fantastic. UI, social media. I think this is a part of the conversation where a lot of people get into heated conversations about which one is better than which, right? Apple versus Android. There are plenty of great features on tons of phones out there, but at the end of the day, if the UI is not something easy to use without any problems or hiccups, it's more than enough to turn people away from buying that phone ever again. The user interface on the S22 Ultra is slick. It's smooth, at least most of the times. I love the ability to split screen apps while I'm trying to be efficient with my time and get things done. I tend to watch videos while I'm shopping for things online, or if I'm scripting something on Notion like I did for this video. Another great example for the multitasking that I love on this device is whenever I do work out, I set timers, but I don't want it to interrupt what I'm watching. So whenever I start the timer and switch back over to my Netflix, the timer shrinks down to a tiny little bubble, not interfering with what I'm watching while still letting me see how much time I have left on a workout. Now, unfortunately, I've noticed that as days to weeks pass by, my phone tends to bog down and just get a tad bit slow at responding to some of the actions that I give it. Like whenever I'm trying to switch apps or go home, the phone just seems to struggle to realize what I'm trying to make it do, and it takes a minute to actually catch up with those actions. This may be because I've been away from Android for so long, but it seems that the fix for this is to just restart your phone, which yeah, I get it. Troubleshooting, turn it off, turn it back on. But being that we're so far ahead in technology now, I didn't think that'd still be a common issue with Android devices. This actually triggered memories from back when I had the LG G5, and I just did this as a weekly routine. I mean, maybe it's just me, I have no idea. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but is this something that you guys as Android users have to deal with on a weekly basis? Let me know in the comments down below, or if I'm crazy. So continuing talking about the user interface, I wanted to talk about my social media experience on it, because I feel like this experience in particular tends to be kind of like the laughing joke or the weak point of Android devices. It's like the one thing that every Apple user laughs at, which is the way that our cameras look like as far as quality, which sucks because the S22 Ultra has some phenomenal cameras on it, but you wouldn't know via my stories or any TikToks or whatever posts that I have. Now, I might be exaggerating, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you some comparison shots of what social media looks like using an iPhone versus using the S22 Ultra. All right, this is TikTok. Got a green screen behind me and a ring light on me as well. So Samsung, iPhone, which looks, I think, great when it comes to lighting. But if we turn off the light, this is, I believe, where Android struggle, where the Samsung struggles. It doesn't look as crispy. And that's probably where you get memes like this one right here when it comes to Apple versus Android. I don't fully agree with it because we have phones like the Google Pixel that can actually execute camera quality well when it comes to social media. I'm just waiting for the days where the rest of Android devices can catch up and utilize its camera on social media to the fullest. So if you're a heavy social media user and you tend to post a lot of stories or TikToks, please keep that in mind that even though the quality of the cameras are phenomenal, when it comes to the social media posting, you're not gonna get the same results, unfortunately. Physical design. I don't know about you guys, but the S22 Ultra, mwah, that's a beauty right there. I am one of those people that loves to take my phone out of the case once a week just so I can go ahead and appreciate the feeling and true beauty of a phone's design. The phone consists of a metal frame with aluminum glass back that has a matte finish to it. Nice for avoiding those smudgy fingerprints that most people tend to have on their cases. This is a phone that when you hold it, you just know by the way that it feels, the way that it looks, the way that it smells. This bad boy is expensive. It feels and it looks premium. I mean, look at it. Would you just look at it? Camera, photos, and video. Now, this is the hot take of the video for myself. Now, I'm not gonna dive crazy deep into this, all right? There's plenty of other YouTube videos out there explaining the pixels and sensors and all these other smart words that I can't think of right now. But as a videographer myself, the camera quality on a phone that lies in my pocket really does matter and is the deciding factor of what phone I choose. And in fact, it's actually why I have two phones in my pocket most days. So with the S22 Ultra, we have a 108 megapixel wide camera. We have a 12 megapixel ultra wide. We have 10 megapixel telephoto at 3x, and then we have another 10 megapixel telephoto at 10x. On top of that, we also have a 40 megapixel selfie front-facing camera for all you selfie shooters out there. Again, I won't dive deep into the cameras themselves, but I will at least give you guys examples of each of the lenses and how they look. So first, video.
All right, and this is the front-facing camera, 4K, 30 frames per second, sunny, snowy day here in Indiana. And let's run. I'm going from outside to inside as well. Move it, kitties.
Samsung is finally getting closer to Apple when it comes to video quality. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys 2 comparison videos of the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the S22 Ultra shooting side by side so you guys can tell me which one is which. And I'll show you 2 versions of it. So one of them is gonna be straight out of the camera, and then the other one's gonna have one of them slightly color corrected to match the other. And you guys let me know in the comments down below which one you think is which. I'll give you a second or 2. Or you can pause. We can pause, right? All right, here's your answer showing which footage belonged to which device. Were you right? Were you wrong? See, pretty close. And as for photos, I'm not a photographer myself. I'm gonna show you guys examples of each of the lenses, but what I can say as my first time having an S22 Ultra or just Samsung in general, I am blown away at the 100x zoom. Like, it seemed like some gimmick that most people would just kind of talk about and just never use it again. I used it a ton. Sometimes just for the mere fact of curiosity of what is that from a distance, or can I actually read a sign from 100 times away? I don't know that that's an actual metric. But my point is, it's great. Here are some examples of me using it, what it looks like at 1x or 0.6x, if that's the right way of saying it, to 100x. Don't let anybody play this down. It's a very unique strength of the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, and I think it's one of the standout features that it has. And of course I had to do the moon thing, guys. I mean, come on, look at that thing, is beautiful. Can your phone do that? Come on, it's a flex. Samsung users, rejoice in the flex of 100x. Bars for days. Performance, gaming, editing. With the S22 Ultra, we have a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chip. We have 8 gigs of RAM with 128 gigabytes of storage, or 12 gigs of RAM with the 265, 512, or 1 terabyte of storage. Depending on what you get either 8 gigs or 12 gigs of RAM. Now, I decided to be cheap and I went with the 128 gigs, which means I only got 8 gigs of RAM. That being said though, I am honestly pretty surprised with the amount of work I'm able to get done on this device, especially considering that I'm editing videos, photos, and thumbnails like I mentioned before, and those are things that I normally do on my computer. I'm not a huge gamer, I don't do a lot of games on my phone, but I do play Brawl Stars and occasionally Grand Theft Auto Vice Cities. I haven't seen any issues as far as performance, so no stuttering or dropped frames whatsoever. So if that's kind of around the range that you play games on your phone, you're good. Again, 8 gigs of RAM, 12 gigs, even better. One thing that I do constantly on my phone though, as opposed to gaming, is I create content. I do a lot of my uploading on my phone as well. It's actually just very efficient and easy for me to just go ahead and get everything that needs to be done as far as like YouTube Shorts or Reels or TikToks or whatever, all within one device. The S22 Ultra does a great job at multitasking, even with only the 8 gigs of RAM. I'm literally uploading a ton of shorts back to back as I'm watching Naruto the entire time. On top of that, having the S Pen as an option to use instead of my fingers to precisely touch and drag whatever I need to, it's such a huge plus. And that actually brings me to my final point, the S Pen. The S Pen is the main reason I actually chose the S22 Ultra. I love all the features you have access to with the S Pen, like Smart Select for screenshots, lock screen quick notes, and using the S Pen like a remote button for photos, and a lot more beyond that I can think of. I honestly wish I could use it more than I actually do. So if you're an artist, maybe you'll actually have a ton more use for it than I do. But I like to doodle, so every now and then I like to have a little fun. But again, having the precise touch of an S Pen is a huge benefit to have with your phone. And that is the S22 Ultra and my thoughts on it after about a year having it. The S23 Ultra is to release here soon. So if you're looking to upgrade and transition into the Samsung ecosystem, I honestly recommend waiting just a little bit longer to see what the S23 Ultra has to offer. But if you really don't care to have the latest and greatest, by all means, there's gotta be great deals for the S22 Ultra with the 23 releasing here soon. If you have an S22 Ultra, let me know in the comments down below what you think about it. What do you love? What do you hate? And if you don't, what device do you have? Will you be getting the S23 Ultra when it releases? Give me all those answers and any questions that you have down below in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, letting me know that you liked the video or that you found it helpful in some way. This is the first time I've ever reviewed any type of smartphone, and I'd love to do more. So any feedback that you guys have, please let me know in the comments below, anything you liked or did not like, or what I could do better. Thank you guys for taking the time to see what I see. Peace.